Hey, welcome to the Choose on Purpose podcast, where leaders live with intention. I'm your host, Becky Plugs. And have you ever felt guilty for resting, for creating something just because it felt good, not necessarily because it had a real purpose? Yeah, me too. And that's what I want to dive into today is talking about the permission to really play, right? To enjoy, to flow, and the power that comes with being in that playfulness, unintentionally being in a flow and really being unproductive. And because we live in a world where worth is often tied to output, right? What if our greatest clarity, healing, and breakthroughs come when we stop striving so hard and we start playing more? Let's talk about it. Here we grow. So, when I think about play, it's not a luxury, right? It's really more like oxygen for our nervous system, our creativity, and our joy. And the science tells us that play activates the prefrontal cortex, right? The part of your brain responsible for learning, for innovation, and for problem solving, which is really where I think about creativity. And when you're in that playful mode, right, you're in the moment. It trains your nervous system to shift out of that fight or flight. And I can even talk about how last week I actively told myself my intention for the day was to be open to playing with my kids. Now they're currently 9, 10, and 12. And we went to the pool. I even brought the neighbor kids with us. And I did eventually get into the pool and I played tag for like an hour with these kids. Now, not that I'm not fun, but I am noticing how serious I take life over the past 5 years, right? Truly, since 2020, I have been actively working to calm my nervous system and be more playful again. So, thinking about this as a leader, as a mom, as a parent, as a business owner, the most impact, the big thing that I'm noticing is that the most impactful innovators in business, art, and leadership all have one thing in common that I've recognized, and it's that they make time for play. And I can tell in my experiences that when I'm being more playful, or I go to retreats, or I'm doing photography for fun, I'm drawing and doodling, I'm playing with my kids or the pets, and having dance breaks, singing in my vehicle. Like, these are ways that I am creatively outputting that they don't really have a purpose, right? There's nothing driving me other than filling myself up. So I want you to think about the last time you truly laughed or lost track of time, right? It's not wasting time. It's where our freedom lies, in that playfulness. So thinking about the difference too between mindful play and mindless distractions, there's a huge difference here. And of course, this podcast is all about choosing on purpose, being intentional in our lives. So we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper here and what this looks like. So there's a difference between zoning out and tuning in. Okay, so mindful play feels more restorative and brings joy without needing to be productive, right? Like without needing productivity in it. And the mindless distraction often leaves you feeling more drained, right? Like, hello, endless scrolling. I even found myself in this yesterday and like had to snap myself out of it and say, oh my gosh, this is very unfulfilling for me. Not that it wasn't not a problem that it wasn't productive, but that it was unfulfilling. Like I was literally feeling just empty doing it. And I had to snap myself out of it. And like, so let's talk about the mindful play. What does that really look like? So some ideas, right? That it could be like painting, and I mentioned dancing. I like to like right now, I'm really in this flow of writing without a solid plan, like not just free flow journaling, but I'm really tapping into my inner child and my inner parent and just giving myself space to have these conversations of what comes up, what kind of questions come up, and then what answer do I have from within. So I'm writing without a real plan, just seeing what flows out. Okay. Another way of mindful play could look like if you're into organizing and maybe you like to rearrange your room or your office, right? Do that for fun. Organize something, rearrange it, go for a walk without a real destination. This is one of the things that I do often is I know like I'll set a time frame of like how long I want to go for a walk, but then it's not like it's predetermined where exactly what path I'm going to take on a trail or that kind of thing. So that can be really fun. It can be mindful play at work. You can go for a walk without a true destination. Or, you know, playing cards or a game with a friend, or a family member. This can be really just playful time. And then the mindless distractions, right? We know what that looks like. That's the binge watching when your body actually needs rest, or the doom scrolling out of complete boredom, right? This is how we also have avoidance disguised as relaxation, air quotes, relaxation, because when we're doing these distracting activities, we're not actually in a rest state. We're we're activating our brain and our body in a unproductive way that's actually damaging us more than it's supporting us. So, like, think about it. What activities light you up, right? Without any attachment of an outcome is really what we're looking for today is where do you feel most present? Where do you feel most silly or fun or free in your life right now? Okay, so that's it's really looking for that mindful play versus mindless distractions. Because there is a difference between zoning out and tuning in, and we're looking to tune in. This is where we're understanding how important it is and essential for innovation and emotional regulation to be able to come into our lives so that we are activating the prefrontal cortex and learning and being more creative in the way that we problem solve in our lives by tapping into that creativity and that joy and helping our nervous system get more oxygen, all of those good things. So the world won't actually fall apart, right? When we take the time to rest. And notice how I say when we rest and not if we rest, because it's a non-negotiable. So let's plan for it. Let's make it on purpose. It's in the design to support you because your most magnetic ideas can come from when you're not actively working. right? When you're actively resting and giving yourself the space for that creativity to flow and generate, right? So something that I've been playing with also has been more of like a creative Sabbath. That's what I'll call it. And it could be an hour, right? It could be one whole evening, or it could be a full day, right? Each week, each month, where you don't create for your business, you're creating for your soul. And this is where it can be really powerful because you can just start, like I said, with an hour. Just give yourself an hour or a day, whatever it feels like. But start somewhere to give yourself time to block that time, protect it. No posting, no planning, no producing of any kind. Just being able to create for that soul level of joy and creativity. Let it come through. So some ideas could be, right, like making art with your hands, doing something creative with your hands, dancing barefoot in your kitchen, in your yard, outside grounding is always fantastic for me. Um, Try that, journal just to witness your thoughts, like I was mentioning earlier. That's been really interesting and really profound. And it does take practice to do that, to let yourself recognize and become more aware of your thoughts. And it's really great to give that space. So you could practice yoga or breath work, or I also encourage you to go for that walk without earbuds. You know, just your thoughts, let them flow. Recognize the beauty around you out in nature. Recognize the colors, all of that. Or another fun thing is if you're a shopper, go to a thrift shop, go to a store, browse, look for some inspiration, and let yourself be in that creative energy. Every time that I take time to literally say, I'm going to focus on being more creative or open to, what's happening, I come back more clear or more joy filled, energized, and inspired than I was before. I was really working on trying to do something or push something through. So, my encouragement would be for you to journal. What would it look like, right? What would it look like for you to create just for fun without an outcome or a goal in mind? I would love to offer that to you as an opportunity to just give yourself some space to think about that. I want to thank you for tuning into the Choose on Purpose podcast. Thank you for coming here every week, tuning in, sharing your insights. I've been getting some amazing reviews and messages from friends tapping into this. So I want to just give a personal shout out to Tammy and Carrie, who have shared some insights around this season of the podcast, and share this with a friend that needs to be in their creative flow, find more joy in their life, give them the permission to play too. I'm your host, Becky Ploutz. Remember to love yourself, live fearlessly, and do all things with purpose. Until next time.